Okay, thank you very much. Welcome for our science lesson today. We proceed with human body, of which last time we were covering adolescence, the physical and also physical changes during adolescent stage, and also emotional changes. So we are introducing circulatory system, which is dealt with in standard 7. Circulatory system. To start with, we have to understand what is the circulatory system in the body. Circulatory system in human beings is made up of the following. Now, when we talk about the circulatory system, we mean that we will have to talk about the blood in the body. We talk about the blood vessels and also the heart. Those are the three main parts which comprises circulatory system in the body. Now, when you talk about blood, this is a red fluid you always see whenever you come across in an injury. We have the components of blood. We'll have to discuss all the four components of the blood. We have blood vessels, of which we have three main types of blood vessels and how they work in the body as per the circulatory system. And lastly, we'll have to talk about the structure of the heart and how blood moves in and out of the heart. Now, to start with, let me start by discussing the blood. Now, blood, there are four main components of the blood, of which they are, we have number one, plasma is the first component of the blood. We have number two, red blood cells. Number three, we have the platelets. And number four, we have the white blood cells. Those are the four components of blood. So if asked what are the components of blood, in blood we have the four main components, which are the plasma, the platelets, the white blood cells, and also the red blood cells. Okay, we will narrow down and talk about a specific component of blood, of which we will have to start with the plasma. Now, what are plasma and what are the functions of plasma in the blood? You find that plasma is the pale yellow liquid and is mainly water. The liquid part of the blood is what we call the plasma, and you find that the color of plasma is pale yellow. It is pale yellow liquid, which is mainly made of water. Now, it is the largest component of blood. So when you compare the four components of blood, you find that plasma is the one carrying the largest percentage. So it is the largest component of blood when you compare with platelets, red blood cell, and white blood cell. You find that plasma is the largest component of blood, and it contains dissolved substances. Like in plasma we have dissolved proteins, dissolved amino acids, dissolved mineral salt, dissolved urea, and also glucose. This is still urea. So in plasma, when we talk about it, is the liquid part of blood, and it is pale yellow in color, and it contains the dissolved substances like proteins, amino acid, mineral salt, urea, and glucose. Those are the dissolved substances which are found in plasma. Now, what are the functions of plasma? We have said this is the liquid part of blood, and it is the largest part of the blood, which is pale yellow in color, and the main function of plasma is highlighted here. They are 5 in number. Number one, you find that the plasma is the main transport system in the blood. You find that it transports carbon dioxide from various body parts to the lungs. You understand, when carbon dioxide accumulates in the body, it becomes toxic, which is very poisonous. It can bring complication, and it might lead to death. So you find that when carbon dioxide is formed in various parts of the body, it is transported from all the various parts of the body by plasma, from where they are to the lungs. As you breathe out now, it is released from the body. You breathe it out from the lungs. So whatever transports it from where it is to the lungs is the plasma. Transportation of carbon dioxide from various parts of the body to the lungs. Number 2, the function of plasma, the second function, is it transports digested food nutrients from the small intestine to various parts of the body. You understand, we eat food to work and also to move from one place to another. So these different types of food, we have the proteins, carbohydrates, mineral, salt, etc. So all those foods, after being digested, the nutrients are supposed to go to the body and work. So what will transport them from the small intestine after absorption? If they are digested, they are absorbed from the small intestine to other parts of the body to work. So the plasma is the one that will transport them from the small intestine to other parts of the body for them to work. Number 3, you find that the plasma also carries waste products such as urea to the kidney. You understand, urea is also another toxic part, substance in the body. So whenever we have accumulation of urea, it also becomes toxic. So you find that from all parts of the body where they are, the urea will be transported to the kidney. So later on it will be released out from the kidney to the urinary bladder, then it is released out. Now we have number 4, another function of plasma. You find that it distributes heat to all body parts. You find that human beings and also other animals, mammals, are warm-blooded. So whatever distribute heat from the heart or blood to other parts of the body is the plasma. So lastly, it transports hormones. We have special chemicals in the body known as hormones. We were talking about hormones last lesson when we were talking about adolescence. So the hormones are needed in various parts of the body for the brain to work, for coordination of the hands, the legs, all body parts need hormones for them to work. So they are transported from where they are to where they are supposed to work by the plasma. So you find that most transportation in the body is done by plasma. Now let me move to the second component of blood. We have talked about the plasma, which was the first component of blood. So let me move to red blood cells, which is the second component of blood. Red blood cells. Red blood cells. Okay, now when we talk about the second component of blood, red blood cells, how do they look like and what are their function? You find that red blood cells are biconcave or circular discs in shape without nucleus. They are, we can say they are biconcave. Biconcave, or we can say they are circular discs without when we talk about red blood cells, sometimes we have to compare the red blood cell and the white blood cell. So we say that red blood cells are biconcave, or we can say they are circular discs, but they are not having nucleus. As in white blood cell, we will have to talk about their shape, and they are having nucleus. Now they are very small but numerous. You find that in number they are very small but numerous. you find that in size, when you compare red blood cell and white blood cell, you realize that red blood cell are small in size, but they are very many in number. So red blood cell in ratio to white blood cell, where red blood cell and white blood cell, where we have 600 red blood cell, we only have there 1 white blood cell. So they are small in number, but they are very many. In ratio wise, you find that ratio red blood cell to white blood cell is 600 to 1. So wherever you have 600 red blood cell, you will only have there 1 white blood cell. Where you have 3 white blood cell, you will have 1800 red blood cell. So it means they are very small in number, in size, and very many in number. That is what we mean. They live for a period of 4 months. They live for a period of 4 months. You find that they cannot live more than 4 months. After 4 months, they are done, and new red blood cell will develop in the body. We also have, they are made in the red bone marrow. They are made in the red bone marrow. Red bone marrow. You find that they are made in the red bone marrow. Now that is description of red blood cell. I will say they are biconcave, or you can say they are circular discs but without nucleus. You find that size, weight, and in number, you find that they are very small in size but very many in numbers compared to a white blood cell. And then they live for a period of 4 months only. Now ratio wise, as compared to white blood cell, you find that red blood cell to white blood cell is 600 ratio 1. And lastly, we say that they are made in the red bone marrow. Now, what are the functions of red blood cells? Function of red blood cell. What is their function? Function of red blood cell. With the help of red pigment known as, you find that with the help of the red pigment known as hemoglobin. With the help of red pigment known as hemoglobin, they carry oxygen from the lungs, they carry oxygen from the lungs to body parts. That is the main function of the red blood cells. With the help of a red pigment known as hemoglobin, they transport oxygen from the lungs to all parts of the body. We have said that carbon dioxide is not needed in the body, so it is transported from parts of the body to the lungs by the plasma and then outside. But the red blood cells, when you breathe in oxygen, it goes directly to the lungs, then it dissolves, enter the body through the alveoli. Then red blood cell, with the help of hemoglobin, will have to transport it from the lungs to other parts of the body to function. Now you find that what happens, hemoglobin combines with oxygen. Hemoglobin combines with oxygen to form hemoglobin. So you might be asked, how does hemoglobin carry oxygen? You find that hemoglobin is the one that combines with the oxygen in the lungs to form whatever is known as oxyhemoglobin. So oxygen plus hemoglobin, you form oxyhemoglobin, and it is now transported from the lungs to other parts of the body where they are needed. So that is the shape of the red blood cells, and this is the function of the red blood cells. So you will allow me to talk about the third component of blood, which is white blood cells. The third component of blood, which is the white blood cells. Now, whenever we talk about the red blood cell, remember white blood cell, because sometimes there are comparisons, their functions, their shape, and etc. So that is the red blood cell, which was the second component of blood. Now we move to the third. We have discussed the plasma. We have discussed the red blood cell. So number 3, we come to white blood cells. Number 3, white blood cells. Now, what are the white blood cells? What is their shape and what is their function? You find that white blood cells are made in the red bone marrow, spleen, and also lymph nodes. They are made in the red bone, marrow, spleen, and lymph nodes. They are found in 3 points, where we say they are found in the red bone marrow, they are also made in the spleen, and lastly they are also made in the lymph nodes. They are of irregular shape with irregular shape with a nucleus. They are irregular in shape. We said red blood cells are circular or biconcave in shape. They have a shape, but they don't have a nucleus. But white blood cell is irregular, does not have a shape, but it is having a nucleus. Now, what about the size of white blood cell and also the number? You find that the other side we are talking about, they are very many, but here they are large in size but very few in number. They are large in size. They are large in size but very few. But very few in number. As seen, we said that where we have 600 red blood cells, we only have there 1 white blood cell. The red blood cells are very small in size. They are minute. But white blood cells are large in size, and they are irregular in shape, but they have a nucleus. Now you can compare their shape here. It is drawn. This is the red blood cell, of which they are very small in size. They are biconcave, or we can say they are circular discs, but they don't have nucleus. But the white blood cell, you find that it does not have a shape. You can draw it in any way. That one can be a white blood cell. So it is irregular in shape, but it is having a nucleus. That is the difference. It is large in size, they are very few in number, it is irregular, and it is having a nucleus as compared to the other one. So the function of white blood cell, you find that these are function of a soldier is to defend in case of dangers. These one are the soldiers of our body. White blood cells are the body's defending soldiers. They are the body's defending soldiers. What do we mean when we talk about this? They are defending soldiers in our body. It means that they fight and engulf the germs entering our bodies. They fight and engulf. Why? Because they fight and engulf germs. Disease causing germs. Disease causing germs. They fight and engulf disease causing germs in our body. They also give protection, that is immunity against diseases. They give protection. They boost immunity against diseases. Now these are the functions. This is the function of the white blood cell. They are the defending soldiers. For example, in our country we have the KDF. These are the people who are defending us against internal and external attacks. So whenever we have an attack, the soldiers will have to defend their people. So in your body, in case there are any germ that can cause disease, it is fought by the white blood cells. That is why we say the white blood cells improve the immunity of the body. In case any disease, they will fight the germs and will remain safe. That is why we say when the body does not have white blood cells, the immunity goes down, and we find that any disease can strike your body because it is now weak. It does not have protection. The soldiers are not there. Now, if you have a person who does not have white blood cells, the body does not have soldiers, and that is the person we say is having HIV positive. Why? Because the virus, HIV virus, destroys the white blood cells, and you find that now the soldiers are destroyed. When the soldiers are destroyed, now the body's immunity goes down. The body can welcome any disease, typhoid, malaria, any disease can strike your body, and you find that you suffer a lot when you does not have the white blood cells, and those are the people called HIV positive. Now let me talk about the last component of blood, which is the platelets. The last component of blood, which is the platelets. Number 4. Platelets. Those are that is the last component of blood, of which you say they are very tiny bodies. They are very tiny, to mean they are very small in size. The platelets are very tiny bodies. They are very tiny bodies. The platelets are very tiny bodies in the blood. They are the smallest part of the blood. They play an important part in the clotting of blood. The function. They play a very important part in the body. in case of injuries. That is the function of the platelets. They play a very important part in clotting of the blood when we get injured, to prevent further loss of the blood, which can cause anemia. You find that you can accidentally have injuries, for example, minor injuries when you are chipping maybe vegetable. You find that a knife can cut your finger, or you might knock your toes on stones. You find that you start bleeding. So the platelets forms a wire mesh like substance on the injuries to prevent excess loss of blood. You understand, when you lose a lot of blood, then you can contract what we call anemia, because a lot of iron will have decreased in your body because of blood. So to prevent excess loss of blood after having minor injuries, you find that the platelets are the one that forms wire mesh like at the part where you have been injured, and the blood will stop coming out. That is the main function of the platelet. Up to that point now, I terminate my lesson. We have only talked about the 4 components of blood. Next time we will have to talk about the types of blood vessels. Then lastly we'll discuss the structure of the heart and how blood moves in and out. That will be the end of circulatory system. Thank you very much. We meet next time.